Republicans crowned Donald Trump and Mike Pence as their presidential and vice presidential nominees this week. Our next guest served with Mike Pence in the House and joins us to shed some light on what Pence brings to the GOP ticket and if he can successfully appease conservatives. Senator James Lankford of Oklahoma, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it very much. Before we get to Vice President nominee Pence, let me ask you a broader question. What do you think this convention overall accomplished for the ticket? Anything it didn't quite get done that you were worried about right now?
Two main things: unifying the party. It was interesting. A lot of people said you're focusing a lot as a convention on negative things on Hillary. Quite frankly, we're a pretty diverse party. You can see that based on the 17 different candidates that we had, based on the delegates that are here. The one unifying factor among all Republicans that are here is we don't believe Hillary Clinton should be president.
Yeah.
And so there's a tremendous amount of conversation that is very unifying around that one key issue. Things like the Supreme Court is a unifying factor among everyone that's here to say that's extremely important. That's the responsibility of the president. So that's one of them. The second one is to be able to lay out an agenda for the future. That's the job of Mike Pence and of our nominee. So for Donald Trump and Mike Pence to be able to lay out the vision, especially for Mike Pence to be able to introduce himself, as he jokingly said on Wednesday night, "No one knows me here, so let me introduce myself." Those are key aspects because the campaign will now be built on not just negative Hillary, it'll be built on positive vision for where we're going as a country.
So you know Mike Pence. You served with him in the House. What does the country need to know about Mike Pence?
Well, in many ways, he is the anti-Trump. As far as among conservatives, he's quiet, he's well reserved, he's very humble. He is a humble Midwesterner next to a Donald Trump who has a New York City swagger. It's fascinating to see the two of them side by side. I have said to the Trump campaign over and over again, you have said for a year you hire good people. The first person that everyone's going to see is the vice president, and everyone's going to evaluate the quality of your administration based on the vice president. Could not have been a better pick than Mike Pence.
And what do social conservatives say about the pick? Because, I mean, obviously they've had their doubts about Donald Trump.
Sure.
Reassuring, I assume,
it's very reassuring because Mike Pence is a consistent social conservative. He doesn't just talk about it, he actually promotes those, and he speaks about it in a way that's non-scary, if I can say that. Talking about life, talking about families, talking about the future of the country, talking about education issues, poverty issues. He's very comfortable in those areas that are key aspects of what it means to be a Republican, but he's also comfortable in things like debt. We're talking about national defense or foreign policy. He was the communication person for the Republican House when he was the chairman of the conference. So those are very important roles. He's practiced all this where Donald Trump believes it, I believe, but has never communicated it, so he fumbles on a lot of things. Mike Pence has not only believes it, but he's articulated before, is well rehearsed.
Well, it's an interesting point because one of the criticisms of the Trump campaign to this point has been that it's a little policy-like. A lot of principles, not a lot of policy fleshing out of those principles. Sure. Does Mike Pence help do that?
Mike Pence does help bring that. So he not only brings this is what he means, this is the flesh and bones to that larger picture, but he also brings some consistency of message over years. For Donald Trump, there's been a challenge to say you believe this 10 years ago. When you look at Mike Pence, you can go back 10 years ago, 20 years ago. This is who he has been. This is the kind of governor he served at. This is the tax policy they had. This is economic focus that he has kept. This is the way he managed himself when he was in the House of Representatives. There's a good, solid, consistent record there. You know,
you've talked and written some in recent weeks about race relations in this country. It's an issue in this campaign, obviously, but there's also a related political question concerning the Trump-Pence ticket, which is how does it broaden its appeal into the minority community, into the African-American community, into the Hispanic community? What would you like to see the campaign do on those fronts?
I would like to see them have more of an intimate conversations with multi-ethnic locations, not in a rally format, but in a sit-down listening format, to be able to engage in exchange of ideas. This cliche of we need to have a conversation about race is not a rally, is not a big event, is not even a media event. It really does happen when you put your feet under the same table and have real intimate conversations. That would be helpful in not only bringing people together to be able to talk about issues, because it changes the way that you speak about things when you understand people.
You know, that conversation is exactly what you've been calling for, but you were calling for it in a more of a social context. You're saying it needs to happen in a political context.
I think it needs to happen among political parties and campaigns, but I think ultimately it's families. It's not national leaders that do this conversation, it's individual families. And I've challenged families over and over again in the last several weeks. When is the last time, or have you ever had a family of another race in your home for dinner? Most individuals by far that I've said They may say, I know people from other races, I work with people from other races. No one's ever been in my home for a meal from another race, so that my family met their family and we had a free-flowing conversation over the table. What I've said to people is, if you're going to put all the issues on the table, then you first need to put all your feet under the table and to be able to talk about these things.
Well, I guess we'll find out if a presidential campaign is the place where that can happen or not.
Be great.
Okay. Anyway, Senator Lankford, thank you for joining us. Appreciate it. It's been a busy night, busy week. Glad you shared some of it with us.
Glad to do it.